Kinsey, and welcome back to Remember What the Lord Has Done. Today, Joshua 16, 17, and 18. Today, we are looking at land allotment, and this is after the conquest. After all the conquest that has happened, the land's getting parsed out. So we're going to keep looking at that again, 16, 17, and 18. And we'll talk a little bit about allotment. So, starting with chapter 16. The allotment for Joseph began at the Jordan of Jericho, east of the waters of Jericho, and went up there through the desert into the hill country of Bethel. It went on from Bethel, that is Luz, crossed over the territory of the Archites and Ataroth, descended westward toward the territory of the Japhilites as far as the region of Lower Beth Horon, and on to Gezer, ending at the sea. So Manasseh and Ephraim, the descendants of Joseph, received their inheritance. This was the territory of Ephraim clan by clan. The boundary of their inheritance went from Ataroth Adar in the upper east in the east to upper Beth Horon, and continued to the sea. From Mikmathath on the north, it curved eastward toward Tanath Shiloh, passing by it to Genoa on the east. Then it went down from Genoa to Ataroth and Narah, touched Jericho, and came out at the Jordan. From Tapua, the border went west to the Kanah ravine and ended at the sea. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the Ephraimites, clan by clan. It also included all the towns and their villages that were set aside for the Ephraimites within the inheritance of the Manassites. They did not dislodge the Canaanites living in Gezer. To this day, the Canaanites live among the people of Ephraim, but are required to do forced labor.
Chapter 17. This was the allotment for the tribe of Manasseh as Joseph's firstborn, that is, for Machir, Manasseh's firstborn. Machir, I don't know. Machir was the ancestor of the Gileadites, who had received Gilead and Bashan because of Machirites. because, oh my gosh. Because the Machirites were great
soldiers.
This is awful. So this allotment was for the rest of the people of Manasseh, the clans of Abiezer, Helek, Israel, Shechem, Hefer, and Shemitah. These are the other male descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph, by their clans. Now Zelophehad, son of Hefer, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, had no sons but only daughters, whose names were Malah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. They went to Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the leaders, and said, "The Lord commanded Moses to give us an inheritance among our relatives." So Joshua gave them an inheritance along with the brothers of their father, according to the Lord's command. Manasseh's share consisted of 10 tracts of land beside Gilead and Bashan, east of the Jordan. Because the daughters of the tribe of Manasseh received an inheritance among the sons, the land of Gilead belonged to the rest of the descendants of Manasseh. The territory of Manasseh extended from Asher to Milkmethah, east of Shechem. The boundary ran southward from there to include the people living in Tapua. Manasseh had the land of Tapua, but Tapua itself on the boundary of Manasseh belonged to the Ephraimites. Then the boundary continued to the south to the Kanah ravine. There were towns belonging to Ephraim, lying among the towns of Manasseh, but the boundary of Manasseh was the northern side of the ravine and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. On the south, the land belonged to Ephraim, and the north to Manasseh. The territory of Manasseh reached the Mediterranean Sea and bordered Asher on the north and Issachar on the east. Within Issachar and Asher, Manasseh also had Beth Shan, Ibleam, and the people of Endor, Tanakh, and Megiddo, together with their surrounding settlements. The third in the list is Naphoth. Yet the Manassites were not able to occupy these towns, for the Canaanites were determined to live in that region. However, when the Israelites grew stronger, they subjected the Canaanites to forced labor, but did not drive them out completely. The people of Joseph said to Joshua, "Why have you given us only one allotment and one portion for an inheritance? We are a numerous people, and the Lord has blessed us abundantly." "If you are so numerous," Joshua answered, "and if the hill country of Ephraim is too small for you, go up to the forest and clear land and for yourselves there and the land of the Perizzites and Rephaites." The people of Joseph replied, "The hill country is not enough for us, and all the Canaanites who live in the plain have chariots fitted with iron, both those in Beth Shan and its settlements, and those in the valley of Jezreel." But Joshua said to the tribes of Joseph, to Ephraim and Manasseh, You are numerous and very powerful. You will have not only one allotment, but the forested hill country as well. Clear it, and its farthest limits will be yours. Though the Canaanites have chariots fitted with iron, and though they are strong, you can drive them out.
Chapter 18. The whole assembly of the Israelites gathered at Shiloh and set up the tent of meeting there. The country was brought under their control, but there were still 7 Israelite tribes who had not yet received their inheritance. So Joshua said to the Israelites, "How long will you wait before you begin to take possession of the land that the Lord, the God of your fathers, has given you? Appoint 3 men from each tribe, and I will send them out to make a survey of the land and to write a description of it according to the inheritance of each. Then they will return to me. You are to divide the land into 7 parts. Judah is to remain in its territory on the south, and the house of Joseph in its territory on the north. After you have written descriptions of the 7 parts of the land, bring them here to me, and I will cast lots for you in the presence of the Lord our God. The Levites, however, do not get a portion among you, because the priestly service of the Lord is their inheritance. And Gad, Reuben, and the half tribe of Manasseh have already received their inheritance on the east side of the Jordan. Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave it to them." As the men started on their way to map out the land, Joshua instructed them, "Go and make a survey of the land and write a description of it. Then return to me, and I will cast lots for you here at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord." So the men left and went up through the land. They wrote its description on a scroll, town by town, in 7 parts, and returned to Joshua in the camp at Shiloh. Joshua then cast lots for them at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord, and there he distributed the land to the Israelites according to their tribal divisions. The lot came up for the tribe of Benjamin, clan by clan. Their allotted territory lay between the tribes of Judah and Joseph. On the north side of their boundary began at the Jordan, passed the northern slope of Jericho, and headed west in the hill country, coming out at the desert of Beth Aven. From there it crossed to the south slope of Luz, that is Bethel, and went down to Ataroth Adar on the hill south of Lower Beth Horon. From the hill facing Beth Horon on the south, the boundary turned along the western side and came out at Kiriath Baal, that is Kiriath Jearim, a town of the people of Judah. This was the western side. The southern side began at the outskirts of Kiriath Jearim on the west, and the boundary came out at the spring of the waters of Nephtoah. The boundary went down to the foothill facing the valley of Ben Hinnom, north of the valley of Rephaim. It continued down from the Hinnom valley along the southern slope of the Jebusite city, and so to En Rogel. It then curved north, went to En Shemesh, continued to Gileath, which faces the path of Adumim, and ran down the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. It continued to the northern slope of Beth Araba, and down into the Araba. It then went down to the northern slope of Beth Hogla, and came out at the northern bay of the Salt Sea, at the mouth of the Jordan in the south. This was the southern boundary. The Jordan formed the boundary on the eastern side. These were the boundaries that marked out the inheritance of the clans of Benjamin on all sides. The tribe of Benjamin, clan by clan, had the following cities: Jericho, Beth Hogla, Emek Keziz, Beth Araba, Zemaraim, Bethel, Avim, Para, Orpha, Kephar Ammoni, Ophi, and Geba, 12 towns and their villages. Gibeon, Ramah, Beroth, Mizpah, Kifria, Moza, Rechem, Irpeel, Tarala, Zala, Halepha, the Jebusite city, that is Jerusalem, Gibeah, and Kiriath, 14 towns and their villages. This was the inheritance of Benjamin for its clans. So I think about this. I was reading all this, and I was like, I can guarantee. So it was cast by lots, right? But I can guarantee that they had preferences. Like, they looked at the land. If they're conquering these lands, they're probably conquering it and being like, dude, I bet, or I wish this was my land. Like, this land is awesome. And, well, this, yeah, like, and then you'd come to other land and be like, well, this is good, but it's kind of rocky soil, or it's hard, or it's not as close to a river as I would like, or whatever. And so I'm sure they had their preferences. But I think about it, and like we do today, the grass in this case was literally greener on the other side. I mean, I have no doubt that you would be happy that God has given you this land, but you would look at what the others have and you'd be like, oh man, I kind of wish I had that. And that happens on a much, much smaller scale, still individually in our lives all the time. And it happens on an even much smaller scale to you and your sister now, what's almost every night, where your preferred land is in your sister's room. You love her room. There's so much to grab, so much to play with, so much to hit, to run around with. Her bed has tons of soft things. Your bed has a ton of soft things, but there's just tons in there. But then I go to your room And I love your room. Like your mom, shout out to her, did a great job decorating, and it's all themed, but it's calmer. There's just not as much stuff. And it's really nice. And that's not to say anything bad about Rayleigh's room, but it's something that I don't I don't really care about the toys. So when I look at it, I look relatively objectively and I'm like, I feel calmer in your room because there's less stuff everywhere. And I think we have a
Give it a year.
tendency. What's that?
Give it a year.
Give it a year. Yeah. And I think we have a tendency to do that though, is we fill our rooms with stuff. We fill our houses with stuff. And God has already given us everything that we need through his son. So I think that's my prayer for you, is that you recognize that it's okay to want stuff. Good grief. God has given us desires, and desires are good, as long as we bring them under God's purview. But I think that's what's so important to remember, because those things that we want more of, it's never gonna fill the void, and I'm constantly battling that myself. But yeah, so that was the same thing you were doing today, was grabbing your sister's stuff in the dollhouse, which was cute and not as enjoyable for her as I'm sure it could have been. But
Remember in Psalm 23, God is my shepherd, I shall not want.
shall not want.
Mm-hmm. It makes me lay down in green pastures.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds good.
Do you, I'm sure they can't hear that. Do you? Do you want? She's very sleepy. Do you want to say anything, or do you want to pray us out?
Good.
Okay.
I only saw Kinsey this morning for again another long day, but
Yeah.
a couple minutes this morning. But
Okay. Well, why don't you pray us out? Yeah, you pray us out.
but my brain is dead. I can't think of things.
God, we thank you for this day. You have given us so much, Lord. You have given us all that we need through Jesus. God, may we remember that that is the source of our joy, Lord, that nothing else can fill that. And while we get excited about other things, Lord, may we continually bring those things to you and be thankful for them, Lord, but recognize that they don't ultimately satisfy our wants or our needs. That though the grass is always greener, Lord, you have given us all the crop that we need. God, I thank you so much for Kinsey and Rayleigh. And in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Well, Kinsey, we love you. We hope you get some good sleep. We will plan on seeing you tomorrow. Have a good one.
What a great